It's been such a long time since Boston led the way. It's more than a feeling. It's Mike and Tom to start the day. The heart of Massachusetts should be freedom, justice, and liberty. Freedom-led pilgrims from Plymouth Bay, Salem trials had justice too late. The sons of liberty spilled the tea, and then the redcoats spilled their blood. The shot heard around the world rang out from the Bay State. Boston strong and ready to defend. It's where revolution started and end. It's been such a long time since Boston led the way. It's more than a feeling. It's Mike and Tom to start the day. Quincy Market, Freedom Trail, Charles River, Boston Harbor, Bunker Hill, Griffin Wharf, Fenway Park, Omar Charge. It's been such a long time since Boston led the way. It's more than a feeling. It's Mike and Tom to start the day.
Kaboom! Happy Friday to everybody. It's been a week, I tell you. It's been a tough week. Craziness. Let me see if I can forward this to myself. The stuff I get sent. Do this. There. You guys want to laugh? I know you guys will. Of course you will. You guys going to be like, let me black this out. All right. Edit. You guys going to laugh. Laugh, laugh, laugh. All right. So check this out. Let me share this real quick. You guys ready for a throwback? You know you're this old when this looks familiar to you. Anybody remember those days? Ain't that something? Somebody's still using that. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so where were we yesterday? Oh, yeah, Kelly Deva? Deva? Like Diva? Or Deva, like John Denver? I don't know. The Canton cop that she left and got a massive raise. And she got day shift, automatically went right to day shift, which doesn't happen. So, when's Mike coming back? The more you pray. He's got he's got a long road. He's got a tough road. I don't know what to do about it. I'm like powerless over this entire situation. And it's really hard. So, but yeah, just prayers. Just that's what he needs. He needs prayers. And we'll see what happens, right? Because you don't know. You can just pray for the best, right? Because that's all you want is the best for somebody. Yeah, so let's go back to analyzing. Oh God, please. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I wish we could just make them better. Just make a magic wand and just fix them. Fix my friend Mike. Just fix him. The only person that has that power isn't me. So I I can't say anything more about it because I can't do anything about it. So let's share the screen here. Back to Kelly Deva. This is the part 2. Okay, we watched the first part of it yesterday. No, Wednesday. Um, Yesterday was a wash, and now here we are today to finish up. Um, Before we go any further, everybody hands up, hands up. We're going to take a moment, please. We're going to take a moment, and I want everybody, I'll open this in a link. I want, as much as I can, everybody here to go to this website, this YouTube page and like it. It's called Veriscope. He does it on body language and deception detection. So he can tell by an interview whether or not you're being truthful or not. Great work. He's amazing work, as a matter of fact. And I want to give him absolute credit for what we're going to watch and analyze, because I think he did outstanding work. And I've looked at his other stuff too. His other stuff's great. But just give him a sub. I think he's at least worth it. With the amount of time he's put into this, it's he's earned my sub, I think. So that said, everybody's happy now. And then we're going to take a second here and check on yours and just make sure that you're liked and subscribed to this, because sometimes you don't get notifications, which YouTube is doing weird stuff. One of my mods didn't even get a notification. So I know they're subscribed. So can you guys just check, and we're good to go. Get this thing on track. Veriscope. And what this gentleman did is he did an analysis of Kelly Deva, the Canton cop, and he did an amazing job with it. So without further ado,
Officer Kelly Deva, part 2, where we'll be looking at the Sallyport footage and her explanation of her visit to the Commissioner's office. One of the interesting observations which we saw from yesterday when we were establishing her baseline is she is more than capable of answering in truthful yeses and truthful nos, although sometimes in her Alice in Wonderland way, in her topsy-turvy way, she does get them the wrong way round when she is deceptive. However, in saying that, her linguistics and her anxiety goes up once Alan Jackson managed to get her into the dispatch room and actually admitting that there were cameras and admitting that she could see what is on the cameras and admitting that there is a camera in a Sallyport and admitting that she could see what was on the camera in the Sallyport. Although whoever was with me watching part 1, it was literally like drawing blood out of a stone just to get her to admit those things. Then, as we go on with today's analysis, we'll see the question, did you observe anything unusual now that we've got her to admit this? And she goes absolutely off the scale. A huge increase in the amount of words that are used, which are completely unnecessary. It's all word salad. A lot of it's gobbledygook. Huge amounts of deceptive markers, and quite an example, actually, of forensic linguistics.
You see that what he said?
And then she then goes on her rant.
She is an example of linguistics, forensic linguistics. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, she's kind of famous. She's making, she's breaking new ground here. She is actually leading it. She is like the perfect person for this.
And about being threatened with perjury unless she lies about telling the truth, which she told 71. The FBI. So extremely strange, and a very good way. If this is your first time looking at forensic analysis, it's a very good way. It's a very good example, very good lesson. And why learn? Well, in life, if you're able to tell at work who's being deceptive to you, whether that's clients or suppliers or bosses or employees, Huge advantage knowing who's deceptive, as in your personal life, and many other areas where understanding who's telling the truth and who isn't is of enormous value. So let's carry on with the actual, I think where we got to, oh, by the way, this is the key to the color markup systems. So if you have time, perhaps, if you're watching this again, you can pause the tape and take the time to really understand what's going on. If you're new.
Tim, I'm glad you are absolutely enjoying yourself. Tim's on a cruise ship right now, everybody. Be jealous of this guy. I bet you he's on the lounge chair, right? All just kicking back, and the sun's beating on him. Yeah. You win the day, my friend. You enjoy that. You earned it. You earned that. So make sure you get your sunscreen on.
To the trial, just very quickly. This is the person why we're here. Officer John O'Keefe, who was murdered at the age of 46 and was found on the front lawn of a fellow Boston cop. And this is Karen Reed, who was accused of his murder and found not guilty in trial one, but there was a retrial for various reasons I won't go into today, and was also found not guilty in trial two. And this is the police officer Deva, who has recently resigned from the Boston police force. So let's have a look at what she says today.
Sometime I would say towards the later of my shift, but it was the middle of winter and dark out. So
clarification. How long?
So I don't know what that means. If I'm going to make the assumption, then yes.
It show the footage from that, one of the other Sallyport. Right now? I'm objecting.
So I'm going to see it side by side.
And here's where we left off yesterday.
One of the cameras, one of the monitors that you had access to back on January 29th did show the footage from, or did it show the footage from that, one of the other Sallyport garage cameras?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure, it was a little bit clunky on my part. Did one of the monitors that you looked at, that you had access to at the dispatch area, did it show the video footage or the video feed from the Sallyport garage?
Yes or no? Yes or no? See?
So I already said I don't remember where in dispatch the screen with the cameras was. There was a camera in the Sallyport. So
anything at this point.
If I'm going to make the assumption, then yes, of course. But now that's an assumption.
I'm not asking you for an assumption. Yeah. I'm asking you, did one of the feeds, now we're talking about the camera, the other side of the camera is the feed. Do you recall whether or not there was footage that you could see online in the dispatch area that showed the Sallyport?
I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
Like clarification.
How long?
So I don't know what that means. So what do you mean you're going to go with yes? Is your answer yes?
This is a simple question. Look at this. It's right above her. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. I want to rewind this a little bit because this is so critical. He asked her about the monitor that was right above her two dispatch screens. So when she sits down at that desk, or any police officer, or even you as a matter of fact, when you sit at that desk, directly in front of you is a monitor. It's the local call monitor. Then to the right-hand side is the 911 monitor. There's two monitors that they put together like this, side to side. So it looks like there's two. So it's like, okay, I can see that. You see everything. It's nice. All laid out above. But right above that, everyone, look right above your monitor, is another big, huge 50-inch television with, every camera that's running right above her monitors that she's looking at in front of her. why she's got such a problem with this question is because she told Alan herself something about seeing people behind the car for a long time. And then she retracted it and said it was a false memory, which doomed her career at that point. So the people that work at Boston PD who called her into that meeting, and it just wasn't with the chief, I guarantee, I'm almost positive there had to be a lawyer, because there's always a lawyer. You go to a mayor's office, there's a lawyer right next to him. Lawyer, the mayor can't talk without the lawyer going through the lawyer. It's all lawyer legal. The chief and the mayor, there had to be a lawyer in there. One more person constitutes, I think, a meeting. So I don't know about that. One of them may be exempt. I think the chief may be exempt from that union, but they had a discussion about this trial and her recollection and what she could say or what she could not say. Right. She told the FBI. Correct. And then she's recanted it all. False memory. So think about this. Why would this young lady here promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Why is she having such a hard time answering a very basic, very simple, straightforward, factual answer? It's a yes or no. Listen.
So if I'm going to make the assumption, then yes, of course. But now that's an assumption.
I'm not asking you for an assumption. Yeah. I'm asking you, did one of the feeds, now we've talked about the camera, the other side of the camera is the feed. Do you recall whether or not there was footage that you could see online in the dispatch area that showed the Sallyport?
I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
My clarification.
How long?
So look, I don't know what that means. So what do you mean you're going to go with yes? Is your answer yes?
So hard. So hard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow.
What
Yes.
time about
Had that test.
did you take over the?
Okay, so highly unusual. Let's have a look at the actual analysis. So it starts off with Jackson asking about one of the cameras and did it show the footage from the Sallyport garage? And she asks it to be rephrased, and Jackson says, sure. It was a little bit clunky. Did one of the monitors that you looked at, that you had access to at the dispatch area, did it show the video footage or the video feed from the Sallyport garage? So he's re-establishing this. So, reason why, deceptive marker. Notice, by the way, for those who have seen part one, how entirely different this transcript is going to look as we've marked it up. Yesterday, when we were establishing baseline, and most of the questions were safe for Officer Deva to answer, we didn't really see much color marking because she could very simply give yeses and nos for truthful answers. But as the pressure built and as Jackson entered areas where deception is necessary, we suddenly start to see, for those who have been watching the dozen or so videos on forensic linguistics and learning the skill as we go along, you'll start to see the patterns. And others have commented in the comments that once you see it, it's like hearing a French accent. Once you know, you know. And if you hear a French accent once and you hear it again, you know. So we're starting to see the pattern. I already said I don't remember. And another deceptive marker, we heard what she said, so we don't need to go through it exactly. And she says that 18-second pause about whether or not she saw anything on the feed.
15 seconds.
The whole courtroom's waiting for her answer. It's a yes or it's a no. So we're waiting it was painfully long, wasn't it? And then she says, I'm going to go with yes. Very strange linguistics as she weighs up. Shall I continue to lie? She doesn't continue to lie because Jackson in part 1 had drawn this blood out of the stone so methodically that if she says no here, all that would happen is Jackson would have to rewind and go through the whole thing again to drag her back to the monitor room and drag her back to the Sallyport camera. So she decides it's just going to be easier to say yes. I'm going to go with yes, in defeat, in effect. Okay. The judge says, excuse the transcript error. The judge says, so I don't know what that means. So what do you mean you're going to go with yes? Is your answer yes? Yes. Thank you, says Jackson. What time about did you take over the dispatch desk that morning? Immediately following the 911 call came in, slightly fractured linguistics. Would it have been 6-ish in the morning? Does that sound about right? I don't. Sometime I would say, so here we have huge amounts of time gaps. I don't sometime, again, we have cognitive overload. I don't sometime, I would say towards the latter of my shift. So the shift is hers, but it was the middle of winter and dark, excuse me, and dark out. So I don't know if it was 4, 5, or 6. So she won't be tied down to a timeline. We know in deception, the number one skill of the deceiver is to absolutely avoid, wherever possible, any kind of tie down to a timeline, because it's the
Locks you in.
number one area where a detective or an investigator can begin to pick apart the story. So when we see complete vagueness about time, we see deception. Jackson says, understood, but it was still dark out. Yes. Okay, so we have a semi timeline established. It was still dark out. Yes. So the question about the Sallyport monitors triggered that deflection of can you rephrase? She's being coached. If in trouble,
A little.
ask for the question to be repeated. Say you don't fully understand the question. Ask, can you rephrase it, please? Ask, can you say that in another way? Well, you can't unless you're the judge. But essentially, she has a whole bunch of playing cards, which would be the same sort of thing. Buys you thinking time, and also gets a little bit more intelligence about what the questioner is really after. So when pressed, she produces the extraordinary hedge. I'm going to go with yes. She could have said yes or no. So we're seeing huge amounts of deception from the off of part 2. There is a law of economy.
Yeah, Dave, this guy here is great. He really like analyzes, like he looks at it a different way. That is very easy for me. The color code and stuff I really, really like. So it's just something. It's a lot of other stuff going on, people. That I mean, we had a little young man, 18-year-old kid go missing. I think they found him. This is just a bunch of stuff, but let's just finish this up and then we go from there.
Economy in forensic linguistics, which is the brain will use the shortest answer possible when telling the truth. It knows all that it knows, but it will try and use the shortest answer because it doesn't need to give justification in truth telling. Okay, let's carry on with the video.
Dispatch desk that morning?
Immediately following when the 911 call came in.
It would have been 6-ish in the morning. Does that sound about right?
Sometime I would say towards the later of my shift. But it was the middle of winter and dark out, so I don't know if it was 4, 5, 6.
Understood. But it was still dark out.
Yes,
Once you took over the dispatch desk, did you stay there even past your normal shift ending to support
Inventory.
the
Talk to you later.
investigation that was ongoing?
not to support the investigation. I was just on overtime.
Okay, so you stayed past your normal end time of your shift that day.
Yes, on overtime.
You stayed into the afternoon, correct?
Gail, I think they found him otherwise. I think he bailed. I don't think it was a kidnapping or nothing like that. He's 18-year-old boy that left. That's all. And I think they found him alive.
I believe the shift ended at 3:45 p.m. for the Canton police.
But you stayed past your ending shift time, correct?
Objection.
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase it. Did you stay past your ending shift time?
For my regular shift, yes, because I was on overtime on the day shift.
Did you observe anything unusual that stood out in your mind that occurred, pardon me, in the Sallyport while you were on that shift?
So we've discussed this previously. I can't make that statement on the stand because I've been provided information released by the defense that it was not a memory, that it was a distorted memory. Therefore, I can't state it because at this point it would be a lie. I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the stand because I've advised that that would be a lie.
Ms. Deva, I've never asked you to make a statement one way or the other on the stand. I'm asking you an open-ended question.
Okay,
Did
so
you,
prior to
let
the
me ask you a
first,
question. Did you observe something in the Sallyport garage on January 29th, 2022 that you found unusual, that stuck out in your mind?
given factual information that makes it so I know I did not.
Oh my God.
No,
So the answer is no.
correct.
Do you remember being in?
Okay, quite incredible. Let's break that down.
Yeah, this is good.
So once you took over the dispatch desk, did you stay there even past your normal shift, ending to support the investigation that was ongoing?
Just so you guys know, something like that happens in any town, especially the person on the desk doesn't go anywhere. Sure don't go home. Person on the desk is banging them phones, finding people, and getting them into work. Everybody get in here now. That's what the deal is, usually. Just saying.
Not to support the investigation. I was just minimizer on overtime.
Right, money.
Okay. So you stayed past your normal end time of your shift that day. Yes, sensitivity on overtime. Unnecessary words,
Yep.
also sensitive. Sensitivity we mark in pink for repeated phrases. So there's something that is causing
Money, 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 money. They
an increase
paying
in
her.
cognitive load, an increase in
Yep.
stress, an increase in sensitivity, and it's to do with how long she stays
Money, money, money.
on her shift. You stayed into the afternoon, correct? Deva, I believe vagueness, deceptive marker in this case. The shift ended at 3:45 for the Canton police, which is a very clever and subtle way of not answering the question. Because this shift end at 3:45, she's not saying that she ended her shift then, but for someone who wasn't observant or didn't really know what they were asking, she might get away with this, and the average person might think that her shift ended at 3:45, and so therefore that's when she stopped working. So it's subtle and it's deceptive. But you stayed past your ending shift time, correct? Brennan's immediately in with an objection, probably because of form. Yes, the judge asks him to rephrase it. Did you stay past your ending shift time? Deva. So she owns the shift. For my regular shift, ? Yes. So she questions the question, deceptive marker in its own right in this instance, answers, but then gives a because.
No reason. Extra stuff.
So question the question, yes, because, deceptive pattern. For my regular shift, yes, because I was on overtime. Reason why, on the day shift. Shift being sensitive in the same sentence. So she is extremely worried about being pinned down to a timeline. And she's extremely worried about
Money.
when she ended the shift.
They get paid big dollars.
And she's also defensive in the reason why she stayed longer. It's not to support the investigation, which for her, because we know of her deception, and because we know she is using slight topsy-turvy linguistics, I suspect that in actual fact, the reason that she is staying is indeed to support the investigation. I mean, there's been a murder of a Boston cop on the lawn. Of course, all of the police might be staying overtime to help support the investigation. So again, we have deception. And it reveals sensitivity about her role. She emphasizes just on overtime, minimization. And the specific time, 3:45, becomes crucial.
Why?
She stays for a long time past the incident.
Why? Wait a minute, why?
Yeah.
Why is she so?
And then we hear the big one.
Why is she so pissed about? Why is that the overtime thing such a thing? Do you think they put in for more money than they got paid? Do you think that may be a possibility, and they just let it go? Something here.
Did you observe anything unusual that stood out in your mind that occurred, pardon me, in the Sallyport while you were on that shift? Did you observe anything unusual? Let's see what she says. So, we've discussed this previously. And if you remember part one, we had very similar, didn't we, towards the end? I can't make that statement on the stand. Reason why, because
Not right.
I've been provided information. Passive language. She doesn't say by whom she's been provided information. So let's go carefully here. This is where we spend some time. I can't make that statement.
See?
The statement of, did you observe anything unusual? Which is actually a question. So she's telling us that she's made a statement to this question before.
Yep.
I can't make that statement on the stand.
Boom.
She's telling us she's made this statement before. Because I've been provided information released by the defense.
How would she know that?
That it was not a memory, that it was a distorted memory.
No.
Okay, so she's accusing somebody from the defense has told her that her previous statement and the reason why she can't answer this question is because it was not a memory of hers, but rather it was a distorted memory.
Seriously.
Therefore, I can't state it.
Distorted memory. Huh.
Because
I have them.
another reason why, at this point, At this point,
Right.
it would be a lie.
See?
So she's saying at other points, it would be the truth.
But now,
I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the stand because I've advised that that sensitivity
huh?
would be a lie.
Interesting.
What a statement. You could study this for years. Basically, she's saying that what was true is now a lie, and that even though she stated before the truth, she can't state the truth anymore because someone has advised her that her initial memory of the truth is not a memory,
right.
and that it is in fact a distorted memory.
That's terrible.
Therefore, I can't state it.
Cannot say that ever.
So this is the most extraordinary way of
That right.
refusing to repeat the truth.
Right there. Distorted memory.
Jackson says,
Done.
Miss Deva, I've never asked you to make a statement one way or the other on the stand. I'm asking you an open-ended question. She says, okay, so prior to, and is about to go off, Jackson says, let me ask a question. Did you observe something in the Sallyport garage on January the 29th, 2022, that you found unusual, that stuck out in your mind?
We don't know
Because
yet.
she's explained both to Jackson and to the FBI exactly what she saw previously. She says, given but doesn't state by who, passive language, given factual information that makes it so, I know I did not know.
Makes no sense.
Jackson attempts to clear this up. So the answer is no. Correct. Fascinating. This represents total linguistic collapse. It's a 71 word response to a simple yes or no question. Contains 5 becauses, therefores, and so's and sensitivity markets, distorted memory, false memory, confusion. I cannot make that. I cannot make that statement.
See?
Oh, incidentally,
Say that.
It's worth knowing the difference between this and that. This being closer to you or closer to something, and that being far away. So if she'd said, I cannot make this statement, it would be less sensitive than I cannot make that statement.
Get to the
That shows that she's pushing it away.
Yep.
At the unconscious level. Advised. So who advised her that it would be a lie?
Yep. The legal.
Yeah, here we go. Passive voice.
Lawyer.
Who provided the information? Yeah, it's linguistically tortured. That is right. Someone gave her facts that override her own memory, which probably explains why she's extremely sensitive about the timeline of the shift and the overtime and her start and finish times. Because if someone has altered the records to retroactively prove, inverted commas, that she couldn't have seen what she saw in the Sallyport because her shift had ended or she wasn't there.
So she couldn't have seen it.
I think that's what's been going on
in her head.
Some kind of manufactured evidence that
She
there
played
is
along
no
with
way she could have seen what she saw.
No, she knew what was up. She went along with it. She knew what we was doing. That was the deal. She knew it.
Yeah. So enormous sensitivity markers, the largest we've seen so far in the trial. Okay, let's go back and carry on.
Viewed on August 9th, 2023.
I do.
That was by a separate law enforcement agency, correct?
Yes.
2 separate law enforcement agents, is that right?
Yes.
And you were advised during the course of that interview on August 29th of something, correct?
Can you
I'm
rephrase
sorry,
that?
August 9th.
So what was I advised of? Can you rephrase that?
She uses her Uno
Were you
cards.
advised that lying to those officers would be a crime?
So it was a willing conversation. I've spoken with their legal team. Because of the fact I was providing factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory, it was not a lie. Therefore, I made it in good faith, and I retracted given information that it could not be accurate.
Ms. Deva, did you understand?
Okay, she's obviously practiced that in front of the mirror. Did you notice the tonality, speed, pitch, everything demonstrates practiced and rehearsed and coached? Let's break that down. Do you remember being interviewed on August the 9th? I do. That was by a separate law enforcement agency, correct? Yes, it was the FBI. 2 separate law enforcement agents, is that right? Yes. And you were advised during the course of that interview of something, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you rephrase that? Okay, so she pulls out her Uno reverse card. I'm sorry, August 9th. So what was I advised of? Question the question, deceptive marker. Again, pulls out another, can you rephrase that? Sure. Were you, so she's essentially buying, her mind is spinning from that previous example that we've all just seen. Her mind's spinning. She's buying extra cognitive time now to resettle, to get her mind back on track.
Right.
Sure. Were you advised that lying to those 2 officers would be a crime? Here she says so. Deceptive marker, reason why. It was a willing conversation. And here is an interesting, so you don't need to say this if it was just a normal, if it was a willing conversation, you never say, oh, it was a willing conversation.
Right. You don't have to say
This
it was
tells
a
us that it
willing
wasn't.
conversation.
This tells us it was
It's in itself. It's a willing.
because of fear,
It's in nature.
because of enormous amounts of fear.
Wow.
It wasn't willing at all.
They lit her up.
So it was a willing conversation. I've spoken with their legal team because of the fact I was providing factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory. I've spoken, so she's spoken with the FBI legal team.
Legal.
Because of the fact that I was providing factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory.
How does she know that?
So who has provided her with the new memory?
How does she have that?
It was not a lie, therefore
Who told her?
I made it in good faith. It was not a lie, therefore I made it in good faith.
Nope. Not buying it. Nope.
I made a lie.
You don't need to say it was done.
I made the truth. I made it. The statement. I made it in good faith and I retracted.
Is that new stuff that just came out right now?
Given information that it could not be accurate. Yeah, I can't really see how this makes any sense at all. It's just a complete load of deceptive waffle.
Yep.
Combined with the previous deceptive waffle, we can only conclude that it's one of the most highly deceptive couple of paragraphs we've ever seen. Miss Deva, did you understand my question? Yes, I did. back to baseline. You threaten, so here she gives her prepared statement. You threatened to charge me with perjury during our phone call prior to the first trial if I didn't lie on the stand right now. And I suspect that there was an intimation that she has to tell the truth, but it's been turned into a threat of perjury unless she lies. How strange. I'm telling you, I did not see anything factually. Isn't this interesting? So she tells us that she did see something unfactually.
I just looked at Twitter for those docs, and I can't find them. Just so you guys know that I'm looking for them documents for you guys, and then we'll go over them real quick. But let's keep going to this guy because he's tearing this lady apart.
And the new facts are that she's got false memories. I've been provided, again, passive voice, because she doesn't say by who. I've been provided evidence, not by a person, but by a timeline. A timeline she's extremely scared of, so it makes sense. The reason why she was absolutely almost in a refusal state to be pinned down to a timeline is because the timeline has now provided her with evidence that her memories are false, that the truth that she was telling the FBI is now a lie, and she did not see anything factually. So she saw a lot that's not factually. The poor lady, in some senses, because she's obviously absolutely frightened out of her wits. She's been intimidated, and I would imagine threatened and bullied. And I would imagine with a little bit of carrot and stick, but in what amounts, I don't know. But she's terrified. Okay. Miss Deva, my question was this. Were you advised that it was a crime to lie to those law enforcement agents? Yes or no? No. So she's able to use single answers, unusually, because yesterday her single answers were truthful as a baseline, but she is able to break that pattern. They never told you, they never admonished you that it would be a crime to lie to them? Objection from the prosecution, sustained as to form, Mr. Jackson. Sure. Did they advise you anything? Any consequence of lying to them? So, we had a willing conversation. I imagine this is a transcript error, and he asks yes or no, and she says, I don't recall. So she begins to not answer the question. Jackson is not having it.
No.
She says, I don't recall. The judge, very strangely, says, okay, there's your answer. As if she's trying to rescue the witness. Jackson is not having any of this either. You don't recall if they advised you of anything? Deva, no, because it wasn't. No, because is a deceptive marker. Jackson, as a trained law enforcement agent, Okay, so we've got the judge now saying, go ahead and ask a question, but both of you only one at a time, okay? Jackson, as a trained law enforcement officer, are you aware that it's a crime? It is like dragging blood out of a stone with this witness. As a trained law enforcement officer, are you aware that it's a crime to lie to certain other law enforcement agents? And she says, so she doesn't answer the question, deceptive marker. She gives a question / statement. When you have intent to lie, yes. Okay, so she's saying that her any lies that she's given she didn't intend to, and so therefore it's not a crime. It is. Okay, so you knew that when you spoke to these law enforcement officers. So you knew that when you spoke to these law enforcement officers, correct? Phew. Yes. Okay, so this was almost as difficult as getting her to admit that she was looking at the monitors, that there are cameras, that there is a camera in the Sallyport, that she could see it, and it's taken him almost as long to get her to admit that the FBI did warn her that if you lie to us, it's a crime.
Yep.
Jackson, did you tell these law enforcement officers that you in fact saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport? Brennan, objection. With the SUV, may I finish my question? The judge, you can finish this question. It's okay, go ahead. Did you tell those law enforcement agents on August the 9th, 2023, that you saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport together and alone with the SUV for a wildly long time? And what does she say? Well, she doesn't answer the question with a yes and no, which would be her baseline. Instead, she says that, so she at least owns it, that was my recollection at the time. So the answer is yes. Jackson wants to confirm this. So you did say that. She won't say yes.
Wow.
She says, at the time, that is what I recollected. Which is essentially yes, but she's terrified. She's being listened to. She's being watched by those who have threatened her. She's scared out of her wits. So instead of so even though she's been absolutely cornered to tell the truth, skillfully by Jackson, because she's avoiding it at all costs, instead she says, at the time, that is what I recollected. Okay, let's go back to the video.
Understand my question?
Yes, I did. You threatened to charge me with perjury during our phone call prior to the first trial if I didn't lie on the stand right now. I'm telling you, I did not see anything. Factually, I've been provided evidence by a timeline that it is not correct.
Wow.
Ms. Deva, my question was this. Were you advised that it was a crime to lie to those law enforcement agents? Yes or no?
No.
They never told you, they never admonished you that it would be a crime to lie to them?
Objection.
Sustained. As to form, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Did they advise you of anything? Any consequences of lying to them?
So we had a willing conversation.
Yes or no?
I don't recall.
Okay, there's your answer.
You don't recall if they advised you of anything?
No, because it wasn't.
As a trained law enforcement agent.
Go ahead and ask a question, but both of you only one at a time, okay?
As a trained law enforcement officer, are you aware that it's a crime to lie to certain other law enforcement agents?
When you have intent to lie, yes.
Okay. So you knew that when you spoke to these law enforcement officers, correct?
Yes.
Did you tell these law enforcement officers that you in fact saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport with the
Objection.
SUV? May I finish my question?
You can finish this question. It's Go ahead.
Did you tell those law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, that you saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport together and alone with the SUV for a wildly long time?
That was my recollection at the time.
So you did say that?
At the time, that is what I recollected.
Okay. You and I spoke along with Mr. Unetti and Ms. Little on a conference call last year sometime. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Between the time that you were interviewed on August 9th, 2023, and when we spoke sometime in maybe it was April or so of last year, does that sound about right?
Yes.
Did you have any conversation with any other party about your potential involvement in this case?
No.
Did you have a conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at Boston Police Department?
Not about anything malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
Her department.
You were asked to go to the commissioner's office, correct?
Yes.
How long had you been on the Boston Police Department at the time that you were invited to go up to the Commissioner Michael Cox's office?
Wow.
It had to have been before the first trial. So, and I know it was when the agency released information to outside people.
That's not my question.
Okay, so I don't recall.
Okay. You don't recall how long you had been on the force, generally, at the time that you were called up to the Commissioner's office, on the Boston Police Department?
No.
Was it 5 years, 2 years, 2 months? Give me a ballpark.
So I've been on the department for 2 years and 2 months. I would say somewhere in the range of a year.
Okay. Did you find it unusual for would you call yourself a rookie back then?
Yes.
Did you find it unusual that a rookie police officer would be called up to the commissioner's office personally to discuss an matter?
It was a reflection of how good of a leader he is. It was not anything that I found unusual, given the fact he is someone who wanted to show support for his officer.
So I'm guessing all of your training class or all of your entry classes, the Boston PD, they've all gone?
Okay, let's break down where we are. If you have time, you can pause the video and read all of this. Jackson says, you and I spoke along with Mr. Unetti and Miss Little on a conference call last year sometime. You remember that? Yes, back to baseline. Truthful. Between the time that you were interviewed on August the 9th, 2023, and when we spoke sometime in maybe it was April or so of last year, does that sound about right? Yes, back to baseline. Did you have any conversation with any other party about your potential involvement in this case? No, truthful. Back to baseline, possibly with Deva. Did you have a conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at Boston Police Department? Here we have what's on her mind, and she denies what's on her mind. So she says, not about anything malicious. I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say the word malicious? She says, I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, so this is passive language, because the department can't speak. So I'm imagining then that my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, perhaps the truth, but instead, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me. Again, passive voice, we don't know. She's avoiding. You were asked to go to the commissioner's office, correct? Yes. Baseline truth. How long had you been on the Boston Police Department, etc.? She tries to change the question. Jackson catches it. That's not my question. She abandons the attempt to confuse the whole situation, complete abandonment, and goes back to another Uno card and says, well, in which case, I don't recall. Jackson, okay, you don't recall how long you've been on the force. He tries to pin her down. Was it 5 years, 2 years, etc.? Reason why? Eventually, we get the answer of a year. Okay. Did you find it unusual? Would you call yourself a rookie? Yes. Baseline truth. Would you find, because it is unusual, isn't it? What rookie police officer gets called up personally to the commissioner's office? Nobody, unless it's important. And instead, there's this story of the only reason that she's called up there is because he's a good leader. It was not anything that I found unusual. The unusual or the usual factor in reverse. Basically, with Deva, her linguistics have become Alice in Wonderland, where the opposite is true in an awful lot of what she says. It's the topsy-turvy world of Deva. It's only to show support for his officer. Well, why is that needed, this support? So obviously none of your training class are invited. You're the only one. She says, I don't know. You don't know. Brennan objects. The judge sustains it. Do you know any of your colleagues that have gone up to the commissioner's office? Brennan's objecting again. Judge says that's sustained again. Now, when you went up to the commissioner's office, did you respond? And she says it wasn't a direct line of contact from him. Okay, so
where'd it come from? Right? Where'd it come
vague.
from?
Doesn't say who. Again, it's passive language. Did you respond? Did you ultimately go? He's my boss, so yes.
Funny.
Okay, and who else was in that office? Me and him, the two of us. Deceptive. There's somebody else.
No.
General counsel for the Boston Police Department?
Legal.
No, it was just me and him.
Don't believe it. Nope.
Let's play the tape.
Not happening. Don't believe it.
The commissioner's office as well?
I don't know anyone else who's been in this particular circumstance.
Do you know anybody else who's been called up to the commissioner's office at your level at Boston Police Department?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know of any of your colleagues with your level of experience that have been called up to the commissioner's office for a specific instance?
Objection.
That's sustained.
Now, when you went up to the commissioner's office, did you respond to his indication that he wanted to see you up in his office?
It wasn't a direct line of contact from him.
Okay. Did you respond? Did you ultimately go? That's what I mean by respond. Did you go to his office?
He's my boss, so yes.
Okay. And who else was in that office?
Me and him. The two of us.
General counsel for the Boston Police Department?
No, it's just me and him.
During the conversation that we had last year, did you say that general legal counsel for the Boston Police Department was also there?
Objection.
Not during that conversation.
Objection.
Next question.
Sure. Was there another time that you went to the commissioner's office where general legal counsel was there?
No.
Have you ever met general legal counsel for the Boston Police Department?
Yes.
Was it in the commissioner's office?
No.
When was it?
During my conversation with the agents.
You took a lawyer with you to talk to this other law enforcement agency?
I'm gonna see your type out on this.
Okay, and look, the judge came to the rescue once more. And we've seen her do that with McCabe and others. Jackson has skillfully got to the situation where he's cornered Deva in a deception, and the judge comes to the rescue. She knows, the judge knows, that she's under enormous amounts of pressure here and highly likely to tell the truth at this moment. But she's been told not to. She's been told not to tell the truth. Okay, let's see if there is. Brennan's worried about the truth coming out. The judge is worried about the truth coming out. Judge wants to get on. Look at this. So we're seeing deceptive markers from the judge. Sure. Was there another time that you went to the commissioner's office where general legal counsel was there? You see, if it's all admitted that the commissioner didn't just randomly call up this rookie to his office because he's a good leader, but actually there's a lot more going on. You know, there's a dead police officer on another dead police officer's front lawn, for instance.
Yeah.
And there's general counsel, then suddenly things are a little bit more complex, aren't they rather? So Deva says no. Jackson says, have you ever met general legal counsel from the Boston Police Department? Yes. So we get an admission. Was it in the commissioner's office? No. When was it? During my ownership of the conversation, during my conversation with the agents. So you took a lawyer with you to talk to this other law enforcement agency? Boom, judge stops it entirely. Which is good timing, actually, because that brings us to the end of today's analysis.
Mm-hmm. And just like that, yeah, this guy is just great when it comes to tearing apart body language and linguistics and words. I mean, the guy's fabulous, and I like his accent. He's easy to listen to, you know, and he makes sense to me. You know, he's done a lot of other things too, so maybe we'll do some more looking at this guy. So, with that said, I want you all, every single one of you guys, ladies, gentlemen, dogs, cats, everybody, please have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Love your family that you're there with. And yeah, we will catch up with you guys Monday. I'm thinking Monday. Monday should be pretty good, right? Good news day for the weekend. Go over stuff. Yeah, I like Monday. So we'll do a date Monday, and maybe I'll get Donkey to come up again, right? Or we'll grab one of my mods, throw them up here with us, and we'll have some fun. So, heads up, everybody, please. Tomorrow, and I don't know what time, but the Star Drive-In is playing the movie Jaws. If you're not doing anything, go roll some change up, go down the Star Drive-In, bring a blanket, bring some lawn chairs, bring a freaking beanbag, throw it on the ground, and sit back and enjoy the show. Star Drive-In's right there, and that big, huge field to the left. Put your lounge chair, your blankets, get all comfortable, bring an extra blanket in case it gets cold, and enjoy yourself. I went and watched Rocky. She played Rocky there one night, and I'm glad I went. It was a great time, absolute fabulous time. So, with that said, everybody, I don't know if you bought tickets to Aiden's show, but I strongly recommend you buy them if you can at the moment, as soon as possible. It's going to be a great time. I know there's a lot of work going in behind the scenes. How can you, I mean, Jimmy's involved in it, so there's a lot going on, right? So there'll be a show, we'll say. It was something that you do not want to miss. So Aiden at the Wilbur Theater. What else are we gonna support? Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff. So either way, let me do this too. Top right-hand corner is my Venmo. If you want to send me Venmo, Cash App is the same as my Venmo. CPU Tom. I'm right here. And yeah. So I love you all for being here. You all have a great weekend, and we will definitely catch up with you Monday morning. Everyone be safe.
Cold mornings, cracked pavement, courthouse steps. He's there before sunrise while the world still rests. No cameras needed, no spotlight glare. Just a man with a purpose, always standing there. Facing the crowd, but the fight in his veins. Truth in his hands, pushing through the rain. Karen sees him, she knows what it means when you've got boots on the ground and you fight for your dreams. Boots on the ground, day after day, standing for truth in the hardest way. No fame, no glory, just a promise kept. Tom CPU, you never left. He don't ask for credit, don't ask for praise. Just fight in the good fight in 1,000 ways. When the cameras fade and the voices die, he's still right there, never asking why. He's got a handshake that you can trust, eyes that don't blink when it comes to us. Karen smiles because she knows it's true. She's got a soldier and his name's CPU. Boots on the ground, day after day, standing for truth in the hardest way. No fame, no glory, just a promise kept. Tom CPU, you never left. When the courthouse is empty and the crowd's gone home, Tom's still walking, he's never alone. 1,000 steps, 1,000,000 prayers, because justice don't sleep and neither does he care.